On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Oklahoma City Thunder win 13 in a row, beating the hardenless Clippers as their top three. Truly impress.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, media member, and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Styles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Styles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're talking about the Thunder winning their 13th straight over the hardenless Clippers. SGA was fantastic in the third quarter. Jalen Williams came to life in the second half, and Isaiah Hartenstein continues to gel this Thunder offense. We'll also talk Kaysen, Wiggins, AJ Mitchell, and the like, all coming up. But today's show, we're joined by Brandon Rabar at Brandon Rabar on Twitter, dailythunder.com, 1077 The Franchise, OKC Dream Team. Brandon, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Historic night at the Paycom Center. I'm getting over a little bit of cold, so I apologize about the voice. It wasn't because I was screaming at the Paycom. This is just a cold.
Yeah, you were not screaming at the Paycom. There's some others in Media Row that might, but you do not. I'll give you a lot of credit for that at the Paycom Center. But, Brandon, this was a lot of fun. I assume the historic night you're talking about is Dylan Jones and myself pulling off the Blue Thunder doubleheader. But if you are talking about the Thunder's 13-game winning streak, that's valid too. Now, unlike some of these other games in this streak, this one did get dicey. The Thunder got down 16 points. It felt like they were on the verge of getting down 20 in the middle of that second quarter. But ultimately, the Thunder make a run at the end of the second to bring it down to within 4 at the break. And then at a halftime, they shot out of a cannon to gain, at one point, a 28-point lead. So in total, the Thunder saw 6 lead changes, 8 ties, but went from the, 10-minute mark of the third quarter through the end of the game with the lead and with the win. How concerned were you that, hey, the Thunder do, even the no Harden Clippers are going to be able to pull this one off when Amir Coffey is bombing threes?
Yeah, so we've kind of grown accustomed to this Thunder team. If they do get down, we saw them spot the Pacers, I think it was like a 7-0 lead. We saw them spot another team recently, like a 10-0 lead, and they end up winning. But this did feel a little bit different only because this Clippers team just seemed to keep getting shots, like the shots that they wanted. And we didn't see the same intensity, I don't think, to start the game from the Thunder that we're used to seeing. Sometimes the Thunder will get down, but it's just a matter of their shots aren't going down. But a flip was switched in the middle of the second quarter. I would say that I still thought the Thunder were going to win this game, even when they were down 16, just because it is the Clippers without Harden. I'm like, where's the offense coming from? And even when they were down 16, Norman Powell had 2 points. Lou Dort was locking him down. Kaysen Wallace was locking him down. Zubac, he didn't have Harden to set him up. So I was like, I don't think that this is sustainable from the Clippers offensive side. And I knew the Thunder would probably flip a switch at some point, and they did it in the middle of the second quarter. Mark Daigneault was asked about that avalanche in the third quarter, but he said, this happened, the game switched in the second quarter. And he's right. They were down 16, but they got it to within 4 by halftime. So they cut into the lead by 12 points, to close the second quarter. And then for the second game in a row, they just went nuts in the third quarter, both offense, defense. Shai was great. J-Dub was great. And the defense just caused havoc.
We need a third term in basketball like there is in football. Because nothing better than just saying that you dominated in offense, defense, and special teams. You need the and something in basketball.
Yes.
You need the 2 in basketball. But Mark is right. I think that the difference in this Thunder team compared to others, because it is really hard to win 13 in a row, no matter who you play, no matter who's in or out. I mean, look at those same Memphis Hustle that came in and got stomped by the Thunder after a hot start. They went out and beat the Suns the next night. I mean, they're just and Jaren Jackson Jr. went from having one of his career worst nights to having one of his career best nights in that game. And so that's a testament to not everybody can just go and beat the halfway Grizzlies. But when you look at this Thunder team, they've shown you a body of work through the last couple of years under Mark that they're a resilient bunch. And to Mark's point, a lot of teams when they get down 16 in the first half, they either just outright quit or they just say, well, just get us to halftime. I mean, whatever happens, happens. Let's get to halftime. We'll regroup. Then we're going to make our run. It might fall short, but whatever. Whereas this Thunder team tried to course correct right away. And if you don't cut this down to a 4-point lead at the half from the Clippers, you probably don't win this game at all because they were feeling it. It was nervous energy. And as you mentioned, the real catalyst for the Clippers was the fact that the Thunder, although they got off to a punchy start in terms of scoring with Wiggins and Shai leading the way in the first couple of timeouts, they let up a lot of easy looks that they typically do not. And so the course correct that right away in the first half was huge. Norman Powell was the fourth best player for the Thunder. He finished 1 for 11 from the floor. He had 6 points, minus 26, two assists, 1 rebound to go along with 6 turnovers, including off of that turnover, having a clear path foul on Shai, which was the point of no return in his frustration and in this game. And Mark executed it perfectly. I mean, I know that perhaps when the lineups were first announced and it was Wiggins in the starting 5, and you just had this incredible run where Kaysen, like his numbers as a starter, the Thunder have only lost twice, in all those games, and you're wondering why he would switch it up now. The ability to have Dort and then Kaysen on Norm Powell was huge for the Thunder to keep him silent and thus keep the Clippers offense to a point where, as you mentioned, it was just not sustainable. I mean, shout out to Amir Coffey for what he did, but it was not sustainable for 48 minutes as you saw this game play out.
Yeah, it just wasn't. Like with Harden out, he is, he famously said he is the system. But to his credit, for the Clippers this season, they've had a much better season than people thought. With Kawhi out, he has been the system for them. He is the engine that makes them go. And in a lot of ways, like Zubac has been really, really great this season. I think he's a good player, but a lot of, his offense comes from the 2-man game with James Harden and James Harden setting him up. And, all of a sudden when Kawhi is out and Harden is out and Norman Powell is your number one scorer, as great as Powell has been, and I know Clippers fans are, trying to get him into the All-Star game. He showed up, the first results. His name was on there, and he's been great this season. He has. But when he's your number one scorer and you can focus your defense on him and you can put Lou Dort on him, you can put Kaysen Wallace on him and focus your defense there, the Thunder are going to live with Amir Coffey and Derek Jones Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr. certainly, taking the scoring load and taking tough shots for the Clippers. So it wasn't sustainable. I didn't feel like it was sustainable. And, once the Thunder turned up the intensity and that the middle of the second quarter, the flip was switched. And then the third quarter, they came out and just, it was on. They blitzed them and the Clippers just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, the Clippers had 19 turnovers. It was a plus 10 for the Thunder in turnovers gained. They lost the rebounding battle by 10, but they got out in transition. They won fast break points 17-8. They got 48 points in the paint to the Clippers 50, and the Thunder shot 50% from the floor, 36% from 3, and 80% from the line, all higher marks than the Clippers did, and it led to a huge second half and a big win in which you did not have to play Shai a single minute of the fourth quarter on the front end of a back-to-back. We'll talk about how huge that is coming up. But first, I want to say right now, but our good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today because the NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You can go take advantage of the last week of the NFL regular season. Right now, new customers can finish the year strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pull out a W. I love betting on which player will have the first touchdown, how many points each team will score, the spread, player props, over-unders, all that good stuff at FanDuel. Join FanDuel.com today, and that's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets if your first bet hits. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And if you're only into the NBA, that's okay too, because you can go and bet on the Thunder versus Knicks game on Friday, where the Thunder are 5-point favorites in the Paycom Center on the second night of a back-to-back. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast, on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Joining us today is Brandon Rabar. Brandon, SGA, I mean, he just took over this game in the third quarter. He finishes with 29 points. He has 2 steals, 8 assists, only 1 turnover, only 1 foul, 3 rebounds, 2 for 5 from 3, 53% shooting from the floor, really, 9 for 9 from the charity stripe. What did you make of this outing from SGA?
I mean, what sticks out to me is the 8-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Like, we're kind of numb to SGA scoring 30 points, and he only had 29 tonight. He didn't get to play the fourth quarter. He would have got 30 points easily. But that third quarter where he scored 15 points, and, that's when the game, completely flipped. It went from the Thunder were down to a complete blowout in the third quarter, and SGA was the head of that. 15 points in the quarter. But that 8-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, I just don't feel like it's talked about enough how secure with the ball SGA is, how well he takes care of the ball for such a high usage superstar. A lot of times we see, those guys averaging 3 or 4 turnovers a night, and SGA's turnover count is always so low. I think that's another part of his game that's maybe a little bit overlooked, but SGA once again was brilliant. And the fact that he didn't have to play the fourth quarter with the Knicks coming to town tomorrow, the Knicks have won 9 straight, Thunder have won 13 straight. That's going to be a big time game. By the way, imagine being the Knicks and you've won 9 straight and you're pretty much fully healthy and you're a 5-point underdog when you're playing a team that's on the second night of a back-to-back. So I think that kind of shows how much respect the Thunder are getting from Vegas. But no, SGA, brilliant tonight. Didn't get to score his 30 points because he got to rest the fourth quarter, but the Thunder will happily take that rest.
Yeah, I mean, second night of back-to-back and without 2 key rotational pieces, your second best player with Chet. It's huge to do this. But to your point about Shai and his low turnovers, I think that this is where you've seen him really improve as a playmaker and just keep everything simple. Like don't try to do too much. This team is talented enough to where all you have to do with the amount of gravity that you have is make simple reads. And once you do that, everything else will fall into place. And whenever you think about how this team is built and what they've been aiming for since they started the process, since they hired Mark, I mean, the first thing that Sam and Mark talked about way back then was building a team where everybody's a playmaker, building a highly versatile team. And you saw it tonight. One play specifically that kind of illustrates that was when Shai got to a spot on the baseline with Norman Powell where you knew, I knew, everybody in the gym knew, the Clippers knew, the Thunder knew that Shai wanted that turnaround baseline fadeaway. And the Clippers loaded up on that side. They brought their big over. They had 3 guys over there, 1 behind them, 2 in front of them, trying to cut that off. And when you do that, all Shai had to do was kick it to the elbow with Hartenstein. Hartenstein redirects the pass as a connector to Aaron Wiggins, who is left all alone on the opposite corner and nails a 3. And like Shai doesn't get an assist for that, so it doesn't add to his assist to turnover, but it keeps a turnover off of him for not trying to do too much. It keeps a missed shot off of him to keep him efficient and nets the Thunder a wide open look from 3 that you just could not ask for a better end to a possession than an open corner 3. And they were able to cash it in. They were able to extend their run. And that's part of what I think makes Shai so special for a player of his caliber to, even in games where you are up and down and you got down by 16 points, he never is out of sorts. He's never pressing. He's never trying to do too much. He's just trying to make the next right play. And once you do that with his talent level, the next right play stacks on each other, and you get all these Mark Daigneault-isms coming into one single game, and you stack these wins where now they have 13 in a row. But I thought that Shai was really good. I thought that J-Dub made the adjustments in game. I mean, you look at how he started the game. You can absolutely complain about some of his shots to start the game where he's taking tough mid-range jumpers and passing up open 3s for a guy who's a really good 3-point shooter, or just not getting all the way to the rim like you would like. In the second half, he misses 1 shot. It was an open 3. Otherwise, he was at the rim, 3 straight layups playing off of Hartenstein. What did you think of J-Dub and kind of his corrections in this game?
Yeah, I thought J-Dub was great tonight because he kind of affected the game in so many different ways. He was a game high plus 33, 18 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Like his defense, obviously this Thunder team is just stacked with defenders. I mean, between Lou Dort and Kason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Shai. Like, there's so many candidates for the Thunder for like the NBA all defensive teams. But I think J-Dub, his defense, when you talk about all-stars and his all-star campaign, obviously everybody looks at the offensive numbers and they've been great and he's been efficient. But his defense, I think, has been, such a strength this season. He's been so versatile. Anyways, and you saw it again tonight because the Thunder went small some against the Clippers tonight. And part of that run in the second quarter was when Hartenstein was on the bench and they played J-Dub at the 5 again, and the Thunder made a run there. And J-Dub's a big part of that. Anyways, he was also efficient from the floor tonight, which was nice to see. 8 of 14 from the field. I thought J-Dub was really good. He didn't get a chance to hit his 20-point mark just because he didn't get to play very much in the fourth quarter as well. Once they kind of came out that fourth quarter and blitz, the blitz from the third quarter continued on into the fourth quarter. And so he only got to play a couple minutes as well, and then he sat. But overall, a really, really nice night from J-Dub.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, the Clippers waved the white flag with 7 minutes to go in the fourth. And to be able to impose your will like that in a game where you were once down 16 is impressive, and is in large part due to Jalen Williams defensively, where he's getting deflections, he's disconjoining the offense, and he's forcing the offense into really tough shots. And sometimes they go in, but oftentimes they do not. And now the Thunder have the ability to make the rebounding category respectable on top of their ability to turn you over a ton, especially for a team that lacks competent guard play. And it just accumulated all into what you saw tonight, where the Thunder were just dominant. But another reason why the Thunder were really good and got their 13th straight win was Isaiah Hartenstein. And it feels like we've said everything about how he's the perfect fit, but you're seeing it continue to evolve. And like, I think that you can get punch drunk a bit on how he started with the team and not realize that that's just scratching the surface. Like the ways you maximize Hartenstein is with his passing ability, and that comes with time. And tonight, I thought that you saw that growth kind of pay off for the Thunder.
Yeah, you did. 6 assists from Isaiah Hartenstein. And again, only 23 minutes for Hartenstein. So like, the box score doesn't, paint the full picture for how great SGA, J-Dub, and Hartenstein were tonight, because they didn't play very many minutes comparatively to their usual games. But Hartenstein's 6 assists, and they were kind of loud assists because he had that 2-man game working with J-Dub. They were both asked about it in post game, and they talked about how they've been working on it. It's a thing that they've been, kind of in the lab working on. And you saw the Thunder come out the second half, immediately 2 straight plays. It was Hart to J-Dub bucket. And then we also saw J-Dub to Hart for a bucket. Like, those 2 guys dominated the opening moments of the second half as that blitz started. But Hartenstein, we talked so much about his size, his rebounding, his defense, his rim protection, his little floater, and all those things. But man, his playmaking as a big, I know Ty Lue pregame, I believe, called him Baby Jokic, right?
Correct. And he called SGA 6'6" Sam Cassell.
Right. Yeah. So Ty Lue knows. And it's just crazy that the Thunder, once they get Chet Holmgren back, like, ideally for the Thunder, Hartenstein is a bench big. Like, this is a guy who's arguably a top 12 center in the league.
You could go top 10 center. They have 2 top 10 centers.
Yeah, top 10. You really could. You could say top 10 center. I think now with the usage he's getting with the Thunder, and he's getting to show more of his game than he did in New York. And so I think when you look at his overall game, you like, do the Thunder have 2 top 10 centers on their team? And one's, maybe a backup, but they're going to play these 2 guys. Like, pretty much you're going to have one of these guys on the floor for 48 minutes, and you're going to see some minutes every game where they play together. Like, the full scope of what this team can be, like the final form with what Hartenstein has shown. The Thunder are one Fred VanVleet 38-point game, like moonball shot clock buzzer beater away from being 18-0 with Hartenstein. And that's without Chet. They are 25-2 when either Chet or Hartenstein plays. Like, to me, that's the stat of the season.
It absolutely is the stat of the season. And coming up, we'll talk about another player who embodies this season in rookie AJ Mitchell, and get you set for tonight's game against the New York Knicks. But first, I want to say right now about Game Time. If you want to head out to a Thunder game as they're playing some great basketball, head on over to Game Time because I love going to live events, whether it's sports, movies, theater, comedy shows. One of my favorite, of course, memories in life is just going to games with my dad and watching live sports, even AAA baseball, which they have on there in Oklahoma City. So you can take advantage of that at Game Time. Now, Game Time has made it even easier for you to get tickets to your favorite events with their new features like Game Time Picks. The feature filters out all the fluff and only shows you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets that are available. Recently, you can go look up tickets for, again, tonight's game against New York. And if you're on the fence about going, get out there and go. It's a Friday night. It's a lot of fun. And you can wait around till the super deal comes out. The last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed, offering you great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing feature that you can toggle on shows you the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Perhaps it deters you away from buying tickets in the past because you spend all this time searching for the right price, searching for the right ticket, only to find out that's not actually the price. You do not have to worry about that at all with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets at Game Time. Go download the Game Time app today, create your account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, create your account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Go download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game Time. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Joining us today is Brandon Rabar at Brandon Rabar on Twitter, 1077 The Franchise, dailythunder.com, OKC Dream Team. Brandon, AJ Mitchell. My favorite play of this game was in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left, where AJ has the basketball, near the timeline, gets off the ball to J-Dub. J-Dub then goes to Hartenstein around the elbow nail area. He goes inside to Kaysen. Kaysen realizes he does not have a reverse layup opportunity and fires it away to AJ Mitchell for a wide open three. But it's the little things that he does. And one of those illustrations came on that very play where when AJ initially passes to J-Dub, he just floats over to the slot, at the break of the 3-point line where he's waiting for a redirect pass. Once the pass goes inside the Kaysen, he doesn't just stand around and see if Kaysen's going to shoot the reverse layup or not. He continues to relocate, gets deeper into the corner, gives himself a passing window in case Kaysen is shut off, which he is. Thus, Kaysen kicks it out to him for a wide open three, and he nails it. Another play that shows you the little things was at the end of the third quarter, which you really had to be paying attention to see because it did not result in a memorable play because Shai missed it. But the Thunder shoot the ball near the buzzer. The Clippers think that the time will expire, and AJ swoops in and bats out the rebound to Shai, who has a clean look at the three at the actual buzzer. It didn't go in. Had that shot gone in, though, that place would have erupted. It didn't go in, but it just shows you the way that this rookie is able to do things for you that are special and kind of create opportunities for this team like a veteran would.
Yeah, so you asked Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a couple of games ago, I believe it was after the Grizzlies game, about AJ, and Shai kind of gushed about AJ, really. He talked at length about AJ, and he kept going back to Mitchell's feel for the game and his basketball IQ, and he just knows how to play, and how Shai and J-Dub joked about how you could tell he played 4 years in college because he knows how to play. And that's what's stuck out to me from the very beginning about AJ Mitchell is he plays mistake-free basketball. He's always making the right decision. He does not look like a rookie. Like, forget about the fact that he's a second-round rookie. Forget about the fact that he's on a two-way. Like, that doesn't matter. Any rookie, usually makes mistakes. You got to learn. You got to get up to NBA speed, processing the game. Like, we talk about that all the time. Coaches talk about that with rookies. And their ups and downs always come because they have to learn to process the NBA game. But with AJ Mitchell from the jump, he's just kind of got to figure it out. He knows how to play the game. He really does, like Shai said, in response to you, have a feel for the game. And that's what sticks out to me. You never see AJ make a play where nah, bad play, Rook. It's just not that way with AJ. He's always making the right play. Shots will go in or not go in. With AJ, they typically do go in more often than not. His 3-point percentage is ridiculous. He's playing incredibly efficient. He's also playing defense as well. Like that was a question mark coming in. It just goes to show these guys that are incredibly productive at the college level, but they're older rookies and they played at small schools, so they get overlooked. They drop to the second round, or maybe you're a late riser like J-Dub was. But it goes to show these guys can play in the NBA, and it seems like draft scouts and things like that. I get it. They don't seem like they have as high a ceiling because they're older and you don't know about the competition they played against. But man, AJ Mitchell looks like an absolute steal in the second round because the guy can play in college and he can play in the NBA.
Yeah, he looks like a steal. Lou Dort goes 3 for 7, plays excellent defense. We talked Wiggins in the starting 5 versus Kaysen. And then, Kendricks was really good off the bench, 2 for 3 from 3. And Isaiah Joe had a nice bounce back game, 3 for 6 from beyond the arc, who they really need to get hot here. And, if you're looking for some encouragement on Isaiah Joe, historically through his career, he's been a very slow starter. He's had very bad Decembers, including last year when he ends up shooting 41%. Admittedly, they were not as bad as like this December was, but they have been bad Decembers in the past for Isaiah Joe that he's able to overcome. Perhaps this is the start of him overcoming it here in January, but that trend should continue Friday night inside the Paycom Center. The 4th game of a 5-game homestand hosting the New York Knicks. Brandon, how exciting is this game against New York?
It's incredibly exciting. I think that this game, you've got the Thunder 13-game win streak. You've got the Knicks 9-game win streak. So, one of those has got to end. You've got the Knicks, Hartenstein. You had Josh Hart, kind of joking around about Hartenstein, how they're going to be able to go at him because his pockets got a little bit fatter, so he's going to be a little bit slower. You got Hartenstein talking tonight in postgame how he's looking forward to seeing all his old Knicks teammates besides Hart. He's getting annoyed by him talking so much. So I think that matchup is going to be fun. But just the fact, there's a lot of star wattage talent on the court tomorrow between Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG, Josh Hart, SGA, Jalen Williams, Hartenstein. There is a lot of talent. And, I think both teams consider themselves contenders. I think that both teams are going to absolutely have home court advantage going into the playoffs. And, for the Thunder, this is the 3rd game in 4 nights. It's the 2nd night of a back-to-back. Odds are stacked a little bit against them as far as the scheduling goes, but this should be an incredible matchup. I think this is going to be a fun, close, competitive game, and it's a Friday night at the Paycom Center. I think the crowd is going to be really into it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a ton of fun. Cannot wait to get out there. We'll, of course, recap that game for you here on Locked On Thunder after the final buzzer, so be sure to tune back in for that one. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us again. Go check out OKC Dream Team. You can catch both of us over there, and until next time, be good and be good to one another.